With the Marvels having the worst MCU opening of all time at the box office, we know that Bob Iger has been endlessly trying to lie his way through the performance of this film at the box office and saying how it does have a great chance of it recovering or at least having some kind of a rebound in either the remainder of this week leading into next week to kind of string along his audience and to string along the shareholders over at Disney as well about the future of the MCU and exactly where the Marvel Universe is heading. Now, we already know that they delayed numerous Marvel projects from 2024 to later years, and it's creating a big ripple effect on other films as well. So where it stands right now, Deadpool 3 is the only Marvel film dropping next year, and it's all bets on that film for really bringing the MCU in a more proper direction. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, the thing about director Nia DaCosta is that she has been pointing the finger at this invisible group that's non-existent, the toxic male demographic, as she likes to call it, as the source of why the Marvels is underperforming at the box office. So what's funny is that she admits that this movie is not performing well, but Bob Iger won't admit to that because, you know, he's Bob Iger, he's the CEO, he doesn't want to let down the shareholders and stuff around those lines. But what's interesting about Nia DaCosta are all the terrible things that she has said to the Marvel fans for raising their opinion about the movie, for raising their criticism about the direction of this film by herself, and those involved in the film, like Kevin Feige and one of the stars, such as Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with this film, a lot of factors going into this movie, why it's not performing well. Now, what's interesting has a lot to do with Nia's role at Marvel Studios. Let's get into all of this. Now, one major development has to do with Disney finally making their decision and call to fire the director Nia DaCosta after the ongoing criticism of the Marvels from the core fan base and new series, of course, as well. The crucial update to this development is that DaCosta was getting ready to direct numerous episodes for different upcoming Marvel series/TV shows for different, of course, eras of the Marvel Universe for Disney Plus that Disney and Marvel Studios had her chosen for. All conversations about these directing opportunities have now been cancelled and put to the wayside, and she has been let go from all Marvel spin-off projects for directing specific episodes. This comes in the wake of the backlash and criticism along with the financial situation related to the film underperforming at the box office. These projects are going to be announced sometime by the middle of 2024 that Nia was let go from projects that were going to be treated as smaller scale shows with tight budgeting limitations, as per Bob Iger's cost containment plan. We talked about this, by the way, guys, that a lot of future Marvel projects, and Star Wars ones as well, are going to be smaller scale, costing them less. That's going to actually turn out to them making less money. Now, recently, Nia DaCosta had this to say to the world, which alludes to her firing from these shows behind the scenes. As a director, it has been a blast working with Kevin and those up at Disney that have given me the greatest opportunity in the world. But unfortunately, despite my previous discussions with them, they felt that this was the project that should stop for me as a director. I was having different conversations for the MCU and the future that it holds, and where we could take things after the Marvels, but that is no longer happening right now. Separate from what Nia described here, is that she was in the talks of directing an upcoming Ironheart spin-off series that's in early development that she was going to be handpicked for to direct a couple of episodes there that will be announced in early 2024. For that, along with other spin-off shows for the MCU that have yet to have been announced just yet. She was also in deep conversations to direct future episodes of a project focusing on Wakanda. Now, let me just pause here quick, guys, before I get to the big part about all of this. Now, the thing about Nia DaCosta is that we know that Disney handpicked her specifically because she supports DEI and everything that comes along with it. And I've said this many times, that DEI is a hypocritical and flawed strategy by Disney, and it really is not coming from the heart. It's not genuine. In fact, it's very selfish of Disney to use that strategy to many TV shows and films while at the same exact time also excluding others from joining their projects. AKA, of course, if you look at the Snow White movie, they did not allow actual dwarfs to portray the 7 dwarfs. Instead, they are shoehorning in CGI dwarfs that not only look creepy, but they also look designed. They don't look finished. The overall realism to them is just diminished, and it doesn't make any sense. And we know that Disney is dialing back on the usage of their budgets going into a lot of special effects and focusing a little bit more on practical effects this time around. So that's also going to be another thing that I think is going to show you a new era of film and television by Disney, where it's less reliant on CGI and more reliant on practical effects instead. Now, it could go both ways. Some practical effects can be quite costly depending on what kind of sets you're building, what kind of characters you're also building as well. But CGI and all of that really does cost quite a bit, and that's what they're trying to really dial back on, especially with all the de-aging tech, that's going to be used consistently in the future. They want to dial back on that as well. But what's interesting about this is the fact that Disney is heading into this pathetic damage control of really just trying to keep this movie afloat at all costs. That's why Bob Iger is lying his way through that this movie is performing very well and has a great future. Now further, alright, Nia DaCosta is still set to continue promoting the Marvels while it's out in theaters. However, this is DaCosta's only role at Marvel right now, via Disney, as her last and final gig with them. With Bob Iger still denying that the Marvels is a financial failure, this would seemingly confirm it based on their recent decision to exclude Nia from directing future episodes to upcoming Marvel TV shows on Disney+. Both Brie Larson and Nia DaCosta have also been blaming the toxic male demographic for the poor reception to their film, which has only been adding fuel to the fire. Now again, we know that The Marvels is a movie that nobody wants to see at this point because of what Nia DaCosta said about the ongoing criticism, pointing the finger at everyone and everybody about their take on it. And, it's another prime example that this is another hire over at Disney that's very thin-skinned, that's chosen by Disney to do damage control, to really kind of attempt to keep this movie having a good face in front of all of the drama that's been going on behind the scenes for this movie. The test screening was a failure. Kevin Feige made some last-minute alterations to the film, and let's not forget about the fact that this movie was going way over budget than it should have. It should have never been, anywhere near the budget that it has, and that's going to only make it worse. Now, we know that everything about, this movie is heading nowhere. In fact, we talked about the end credit scene / the ending scene that really kind of sets things up that are either confusing casual audiences or are really, cementing something that hardcore fans just aren't quite ready for just yet in the MCU right now. So there's a lot of things going on with that. But anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.